Hello everyone, welcome to What's Happening in Brazil. Let's start our show with the latest news from the country.
The country now has a vaccine 100% Brazilian, produced by the Oswaldo Cruz Foundation, also known as Fiocruz, a research institution linked to the Ministry of Health. It has the same formula as AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine, which Brazil has already been producing. But the news is that the active pharmaceutical ingredient, or API, previously imported to the country, came to be produced in Brazil. Fiocruz informed that they have enough API to produce 25 million vaccines. In all, the institution plans to deliver 45 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine in 2022. Brazil's Minister of Health, Marcelo Queiroga, attended the ceremony to launch the Brazilian vaccine, despite having adopted a negationist stance on several occasions of the pandemic. Recently, Queiroga delayed children's vaccination and told parents to seek prior medical recommendation before vaccinating their kids. In the last decade, people living on the urban fringes died 15 times more from droughts, floods, and storms than those living in safe areas. That's what a recent UN report shows. In Brazil, the scenario isn't different. At the end of last year and the beginning of this year, torrential rains caused deaths and destruction in many of the country's states. In the city of Petrópolis, Rio de Janeiro state, more than 230 people died due to record rain in February. The report also shows the impact of global warming on ecosystems, highlighting the impact on the Amazon rainforest. Climate change and deforestation may increase 2 degrees Celsius the biome's temperature, producing severe and irreversible loss of ecosystems and biodiversity.
In Brazil, the Supreme Electoral Court is responsible for coordinating elections. It has 7 ministers, 3 of them from the Supreme Federal Court. In a year like this one, with presidential elections that promise to be turbulent, the court has a change of command. Check it out in the story of the week.
This year is an electoral one, and the ministers ahead of the Supreme Electoral Court must be united to guarantee free and fair elections. Also, they must resist the attacks from President Jair Bolsonaro and his disinformation tactics. 2022 is also a year of change in the ruling of the Supreme Electoral Court. Luiz Roberto Barroso left the presidency of the court in February 22nd, and Edson Fachin will hold the position until August. Then, Minister Alexandre de Moraes will take the seat.
The Supreme Electoral Court organizes the elections, decides on issues that affect the electoral process, and in recent years has been trying to be an essential trend to reaffirm the democratic values and to protect Brazilian institutions. Sometimes we face things we thought were past. Even so, our role is to keep on pushing in the right direction.
During 1 year and 9 months heading the court, Barroso coped with the challenges as the 2020 municipal elections in the middle of a pandemic, judgments made by video calls, and a bill in the Chamber of Deputies proposing the return of the printed ballot. But he gained prominence in decisions against disinformation and online hatred, such as the agreement signed with 8 of the main digital platforms operating in the country to take measures against fake news.
Barroso has engaged with the issue of mis- and disinformation during his whole presidency of the court. I think his main achievement heading the court was the fight against fake news and the defense of political minorities, as the inclusion of women, black, and indigenous peoples. These 3 ministers see the fight against fake news as a common agenda, so I don't think that the work of Fachin and Barroso will be very different.
President Jair Bolsonaro criticizes the court's stance and usually targets Minister Moraes, the rapporteur of investigations on digital militias that focus on the president and his allies. Law professor Felipe Mendonça says that the electoral justice system is historically careful in taking drastic decisions against elected politicians, especially when it involves presidents, taking into account the respect for the votes of millions of people. He believes that Bolsonarism can benefit from this scenario by trying to make the elections even more chaotic and unpredictable.
Considero que é esse o ponto.
I believe that is the point we have reached in an electoral year.
On one side, Bolsonaro is raising his tone, and he will probably raise it until the final vote counting. On the other, the court is treating it as, it's okay, we will no longer tolerate Bolsonaro's absurdities. It's a cauldron. Let's see what happens.
Dodgeball is a game that makes part of the childhood of many Brazilians. It consists of two teams on opposite sides trying to hit their rivals with a ball. Nowadays, the game has also been used to break prejudice against the LGBTQIA+ community.
A popular game in childhood gains today other nuances. In addition to physical activity, Dodgeball is a way of empowerment for LGBTQIA+ culture. It was in the city of Recife, Pernambuco State, that was born 17 years ago one of the country's oldest dodgeball groups, Gameada, a pun with the word gay and the Portuguese name of the game, Queimada. Besides the game, the group bets on sex education.
When we finished the game, we distributed condoms and lubricants and talked about the importance of preventing sexually transmitted infections and HIV. Also, we talked about the importance of respecting diversity and sexual orientation.
In Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais capital city, the emergence of Gameada coincides with the artistic movement to retake streets, squares, and public spaces. The first competition happened in 2015.
We realized that LGBT people here in Belo Horizonte presented a great need to be on the streets during daylight hours, and that motivated us to break a paradigm society has about LGBT people just going to the streets at night, that we don't work, don't have fun or family, that we don't walk around during the day, you know? Incredible as it may seem, it was still an issue in 2015.
In the city of São Paulo, it all started in 2016, and the inspiration was precisely the editions in Belo Horizonte. It was also in this period that occurred the boom of the drag culture in Brazil's biggest city.
To me, it was an event, you know? It was the certainty that I would be with people that understood me, accepted me, and would hug me just as they did.
And now it's time for Brazilianese.
Today's recipe is batata ao murro, which means punched potato in a raw translation. I prepared it using a pan. I cooked the potatoes, toasted them in the same pan, and served them with a pesto made with toasted garlic. Wash the potatoes peel carefully and cook the whole potatoes in boiling water. Cook the potatoes until they are tender, completely cooked, but not falling apart. Prick a toothpick to check if they are cooked. Put them in a colander. Heat a heavy bottomed skillet. Place cloves of garlic in the skillet to roast while it heats up. While the cloves of garlic heat up, mash the potatoes softly to expose their pulp. The punched potatoes are ready. Put the potatoes on the skillet without any fat. Turn down the heat so the potatoes dry and their peels toast in contact with the skillet, but without burning. This is a slow process to make the potatoes have a crunchy peel and succulent pulp. While the potatoes are toasting, take the cloves of garlic from the skillet and peel them. When we toast garlic within the peel, it becomes sweet and creamy. It gives a special touch to sauces like pesto that I'm gonna make today. You're gonna grind the garlic in a mixer or pestle with the nuts and cheese. Add basil, black pepper, salt, and grind them all. Put it in a pot and pour olive oil. Place the potatoes toasted on both sides on a platter or dish.
you like the show? So hit the like button and share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We will see you next week.